I'm Scott.
I'm Ben.
I'm TJ.
And this is a review. On today's episode, which is episode 39, we'll be reviewing Halloween 2018. Halloween 2018 follows the story of Michael Myers, a serial killer who breaks out of a insane asylum and murders a bunch of people. It's nothing like the original. Oh, wait, it's an exact remake. Ben, TJ, what did you think about the remake, reboot, whatever, of Halloween?
Do you mean a C-boot?
It's a soft reboot.
A soft C-boot?
Yeah,
reboot?
a soft C-boot, boot, doop, boop. It's basically the same movie. Except for, like, the third act's a little bit different, but not really even. It's honestly, like, beat for beat, exactly the same.
Yeah, it's... obviously, there's not a lot of different places you can go with a slasher setup. Inherently, it's going to be about... Unless you do full...
I mean, Jason went to Manhattan.
Didn't he go to the moon too?
Well, he was.
Yeah, he was in
he wasn't
space.
on.
Yeah.
He was in space. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Space
a great.
Station.
I actually love Jason X. That's a great.
Jason X is awesome.
I haven't seen it, but it's my favorite in theory.
He like freezes a woman's head and then shatters it. It's great. Anyways, so this is a direct follow up to the original 1979.
78.
1978, John Carpenter written directed film Halloween, which basically jump-started the slasher genre to be what it is today. Really is like the grandfather. I think you could argue there was slashers before that, but that's really the one that put it on the map.
Yeah.
And there's been lots of sequels to Halloween, and there's been remakes. Rob Zombie did too.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And this is ignoring all of those and is a direct follow-up to the original. And so it's been 40 years, almost, just about. Wait, yeah, it's been exactly 40 years.
That was kind of the whole stick of it.
Yeah, right. Wow, that's weird.
It's a long time.
Isn't that weird?
My parents are 50.
Right.
It's like, this is very long in the tooth.
Right. And original Halloween, I think we can all agree, is a great movie.
Classic.
It's definitely not, like, scary by today's standards.
It had some jumps, though. I mean, I watched it for the first time
It's
last night,
very
right
effective.
before I
It's
saw
effective.
it.
Well, you know, it's tame by today's standards. Maybe a better way to put it. But yeah, it definitely still has those defining characteristics. It's still kind of carried out. Like, you could see all the little bits still today. And this movie, so it starts off with some British podcasters, Vice podcast people, who somehow got Michael Myers' mask from 40 years ago, which right off the bat, I'm already having problems with this. Like, they just waltz into his prison and walk right up to him, and they're like, "Do you see the mask, Michael? What does this make you feel like?" And it's like, whoa, why?
And meanwhile, like, every other crazy person around him is looking at
Freaking
the map,
out.
just freaking out, having panic attacks.
Dogs are
And
barking.
He's just screaming, "How does it make you feel?" Whatever to the guy.
I gotta say, this whole opening really kind of put a weird, kind of bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
It was kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
And the hard cut to the title, like...
Yeah, I would have rather... the general rule with a slasher is that it should open with a kill.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I just feel like we've waited 40 years. Wouldn't it be neat, even if it were like a flashback, if they're like... I think I saw something in somewhere, they were going to do a recreation
Of, like, the original...
like, the last night.
Mm-hmm.
With, like, body doubles and, like, have, like, a DH/CG Jamie Lee Curtis and everything, and, like, basically have David Gordon Green be able to do
Direct
more
his version,
slasher stuff, which is, I think we can agree, is all the best stuff in the movie when it's just...
I mean, Michael Myers could have gotten to the edge of that yellow thing and just killed that guy and started off that way. Like, it could have. You're right. They could have done it. I get kind of starting off a little slower and kind of building up to it, but it's just that was a weird sequence.
Well, it's like, you know, he has to break out, so it kind of doesn't intrigue me to start that way.
Well, I told Ben, I while we were watching the movie, there's a moment where he does break out, obviously.
Right.
He's in the trailer. You see the bus. He's getting transferred, which for some reason they decided the exact 40-year anniversary on Halloween night is the perfect time to transport the
That's
dangerous...
how the judicial system works.
They're very methodical. And So you see that in the trailer with it tipped over, and like that scene, that whole sequence is actually really good. I was like, this would be the perfect like cut to Halloween title sequence to start it here.
Yeah.
Because all that follows the introduction scene is some really bad character development with Judy Greer, who's, I gotta say, awful in this movie. I hated Judy Greer in this.
She's really fucking bad.
And
Yeah.
it's exposition that we don't need.
Yeah.
Right off the
And
bat.
she's just like, oh, yeah.
My mom is
childhood."
crazy, and she
Uh.
made me shoot guns and
Yeah.
be
Well,
prepared.
And I'm kind of confused. Maybe you guys can clear this up.
Yeah.
But like they say, like she was taken away at age 6,
12.
12. Okay,
Yeah.
that's maybe where my confusion was. I thought they said 6 originally.
She started shooting guns at 8, and then she was doing all this like survivalist shit in the woods, and then rightfully so,
Right.
the people took her kids away, and it's like, yeah, because she's crazy and like suffering from extreme PTSD and paranoia, and probably shouldn't be around children right now.
Right.
manifests itself in really awkwardly overly acted breakdowns.
Yeah.
Where Jamie Lee Curtis chugs wine in like a BJ's bar and restaurant.
Yeah, I thought Jamie Lee Curtis was overacting like crazy in this movie. I thought she was kind of hard to watch for like the few bits she was in. Like, she's not in it as much as you think.
No, she's not the star of the movie.
There's
No.
kind of no one's in it as much as you think, though. I
No.
feel like no one is really in this movie for enough time to really get attached.
I'd say, you know, what's fun about this movie for me is you do actually spend a lot of personal time with Michael Myers.
Right.
Like, you're just with him, following what he's doing, and I thought that was an interesting take for a lot of the movie. But it isn't consistent enough to just be like, this is his movie or this is her movie, or it's like it goes around all these different things too much.
Yeah, it's doesn't exactly know which one it wants to be, and then because like basically the whole second act, Laurie kind of disappears. Like she's just kind of gone,
Right.
and it's just a Michael Myers movie for like.
And he's just slashing people
Yeah,
and doing his
really
thing.
kind of dope, and then like when the characters come back in, you're like, oh god damn it, like.
I honestly kind of every time she showed back up, I was rolling my eyes because like she was always just like, I don't know, I could never understand her exact purpose in the film, and at one hand she's playing it really seriously and like really hard, and she's the badass, and then like she's crying in the restaurant, and it felt like a joke, but then it wasn't, and I couldn't figure out like how she was supposed to be playing this.
There's just kind of an awkwardly jokey tone to all the character stuff that, like with the dad, and like we enjoyed the dad, but like a lot of it is just like kind of you don't know which way to feel. Like one foot's in the door of like this is supposed to be like a real drama, and she's like, traumatized, and the other side you have like the banter and like side remarks and sounds like sarcasm and like inside jokes and meta jokes where it's like. Pick one. One's undercutting the other. Let's just commit to one.
It feels like it's trying to be a lot of different things. When it actually commits to being a slasher movie, to like, there's a part in the trailer and it's in the movie obviously when there's a single shot just following in a third person perspective behind Michael Myers as he goes into somebody's garage, gets a hammer, walks in the house, kills them, takes a knife, and it's just like. There's a lot of bits in this movie where you're just following with Michael Myers and seeing his creepy, methodical, slow process, right? And like that's when I think the movie is really effective and you're just hooked. You know what I mean? But then you get into this shit with Laurie and like, 40 years ago Michael killed like 5 people and I decided to build a bunker in my fucking house as a result. It's like, really? I get it. You can have PTSD and have like suffered your whole life because of this, but like this is a bridge too far if you ask me. Like how many actual real life victims of worse crimes than like 5 people getting murdered on Halloween, which has happened, have they done this crazy shit? Have they like devoted their lives to like, we're gonna wait for that guy to get out of prison, we're gonna build a bunker in our house, we're gonna become like sharpshooters and hoard guns and do this and do that and isolate ourselves from our family? And it's just like, okay, we get it. She suffered. It's been 40 years. Is there no like in between here where it's like you have PTSD, you can't connect to people, or you're afraid, but you're still in your family's lot. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Do you think that if they had kept Halloween 2, like that continuity, if that would help
sister
justify that? Not necessarily, even, the sister thing, but also just the fact that more happened.
Maybe.
Because he goes to the hospital and like...
I mean, like, the thing is like, the whole like her whole thing is like she's prepared. She's like a doomsday prepper basically, right? But then like, if somebody is after you, why would you go out and live in the middle of the woods by yourself in isolation with nothing around? It's like, or why would you stay in the same state?
Yeah,
Right.
why wouldn't you just fucking move?
There's like so much of her actions make zero sense.
There's obviously a want for her to end it. You know, I don't think it's
That's
just
not-
that she's prepared there. I feel
yeah.
like she wants to be the one to put him
Well, she
out.
straight up says that in the movie. She's
Right.
like, I want to kill him, which is, that's not unreasonable, but then like, I don't know. It's just like going too far if you ask me. Like, I get it, but it just was kind of, the movie felt like it was at odds with itself as to like whether or not it wanted to be grounded in reality or if it was kind of ignoring reality for the tropes of the old movies.
This is just a hypothetical.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine if this movie was Mike Myers escaping
Mm-hmm.
and then just going on a rampage, and then you followed Laurie like how you follow Mike Myers in the first movie.
Literally-
and she's hunting him down, but like all methodically and slow throughout the town.
Literally exactly what I told Ben after we watched this
Yeah.
movie.
That would've
That's
been
my
great.
pitch is that like we shouldn't have seen Laurie until the end of the movie. She should have been like the third act reveal. They should have talked about her as though she was some sort of boogeyman.
Right.
And then like as Michael Myers is coming back and doing his thing, you see her like hiding behind a fucking tree in the background like, I'm gonna get you, motherfucker. And then like at the end, like popping out the shadows
Yeah.
and doing her like, yeah, absolutely.
It's
That's
the-
how they should have played this.
That would have been awesome.
And like Ben said earlier to me, it should have been more like this a Korean film, I Saw the Devil. That's the way this movie, that's the blueprint for this, what they wanted to do with this movie.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can have Laurie being tactical and like weapons trained, but it's just implied in how she is, and then how like she's talked about and sort of like this figurehead sort of looming over the movie, and then when they have the final killer hunter hunted confrontation, you manifest all that stuff that they're going for a lot better, and it actually culminates in
Yeah.
violence,
Of satisfying
and then she actually
conclusion.
kills Michael Myers for good.
Yeah.
Boom,
I mean,
done.
like they could still have the ambiguous ending. This is they've done this exact thing before where it's like, let's trap him in a room and burn him to death and just walk the fuck away. And it's like, really?
Yeah.
But like, I guess this is only the second movie now in the continuity, so whatever. But yeah, no, that totally would have worked way better. And then like, you could have even opened a door to be like, oh, now Laurie's a killer, and maybe she's gonna be, you know what I mean? Like they could have taken this in a new direction instead of just
Have the teaser at the end of her searching the remains, she finds the mask.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's something there to say that she's been. Yeah, and I think that they're afraid of doing that. I don't think they would do that because
Right.
I think it's a neat idea, but it could also be really bad.
Oh,
it
of
could be like
course.
eye rolling, like, oh my god, are you serious? But so okay, we do have to talk about Loomis number 2, as we'll refer to him. So, you know, the first movie, Dr. Loomis is like the psychiatrist that is kind of hunting Michael Myers throughout the movie. He's kind of like the unofficial hero, I would almost say, of the first film to a certain degree. Like he's the one that's talking sense to people and is like, this guy is dangerous and he's pure evil and we need to take him out. So he's kind of like the antagonist to Michael Myers. The original one, he tries to kill him at the end and then the cop stops him. Did he kill him?
No, he shoots him a bunch of times.
Okay, so and then the cops show up and
Yeah.
whatever.
Can't finish
He's
him off.
gone.
Yeah. So there's like a new doctor in this movie that's been like, he's like, oh, I was studying under Loomis and then I took over his casework after he died. Great. It's the Jurassic World. It's Jurassic World all over again. I was John Hammond's secret partner. Whoa!
Connection!
It's a Universal problem apparently. Both Universal
Yeah.
movies, like, oh, they have to do that with their villains. So this guy is like present throughout the whole movie, and this is a twist. This is a spoiler, so spoiler alert. But this is like a what the fuck moment for me that I feel like we have to talk about. So there's a moment in the film. It's like the end of the second act, leading into the third act, where the cop, like a badass, just runs Michael Myers over. And he's just like, I'm done. He runs him over, and then he's gonna inspect his body, and then the fucking Loomis 2 guy comes out and stabs the cop to death, and basically reveals that, like, oh, I've got a hard-on for Michael Myers. Oh, that's what it feels like to kill people. Oh, nom, 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 nom. And then, like, brings Michael Myers. It's like he just wants to, like, see him in action.
Right.
And to be fair, it is set up in the movie. They actually do set this up early on to a certain degree, but, like, this goes back to what I was saying before about the whole, like, it can't decide if it's grounded in reality or not. Like, the movie does a good job of, like, somewhat being grounded, and then this happens, and it's like, okay, now we're Fonzie just flying over a shark right now, because, like, this is completely ridiculous, and it has no payoff in the movie whatsoever.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Michael Myers could have easily, they could have ran him over, said, okay, let's take him back to the cops, and thrown him in the back seat, and he could have woken back up, and the same thing could have happened that happened. There's no reason for this quote-unquote twist, because it's like the twist, it is a twist, but it doesn't lead to anything, which makes me say it's not, because it's just something they threw in there.
Well, it's because, I mean, since we already spoiled it, he immediately dies after he does this.
Well, yeah, Michael Myers kills him, right away.
And so it's like
a goddamn pumpkin.
if he was like, okay, you're gonna be my little, like, henchman guy, like, maybe there would have been payoff to this.
Well, but
it
see,
was
that's
literally just like, oh, then this happens, and then we'll do this to fix that problem, and we'll already band-aid it.
I think that's a big problem with this movie in general, is, like, Michael Myers has no motivation.
Right.
And, like, I know that's a weird criticism of a psychotic murderer, but, like, in the original movie, it's implied that, like, he has kind of an MO. Like, he's going after the babysitters, he's going after maybe his family. In the second movie, they said that Jamie Lee Curtis was his sister, so, like, there seemed like there was these connective tissue that, like, he had family issues, or was something going on, or he liked chicks, or he liked babysitters, or what, who knows.
Right.
And then in this one, they first of all established that they're not related at all. That's bullshit. And that he just will kill anybody. But then, like, he won't kill some people. Like, he passes by lots of children and decides not to kill them. But he does kill a kid in the movie.
He does.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like he won't kill children. But there's...
Sorry, you talking about the kid who wanted to be a dancer?
Yeah. What a
weirdest conversation in the movie.
I actually chuckled at that quite a bit, but it was very bizarre.
I mean, I chuckled at it, but it was just like, this is unnecessary.
Oh, yeah, very unnecessary.
Let's take 1 second. That guy was like 75 years old, and I'm supposed to believe he's the father of a 12-year-old child.
Also that.
Right.
Yeah.
He literally looked older than, like, my great-grandfather.
That was a very bizarre...
Yeah, this is my spawn here, who could be not a shade over 14.
I don't know what the hell was going on with that. But, so yeah, Michael Myers will kill children, but there's a point at which he looks down at a crying baby and kind of has this, like, I guess not face. I mean, he has a mask on, so you can't see, but he discriminates.
Yeah.
But there's no rhyme or reason to why. You know what I mean? Like, he'll go after just the most random people, and sometimes he'll let people go, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he decorates people's corpses with Halloween costumes, and sometimes he doesn't. He doesn't... It's like they describe him as this remorseless, empty vessel that just does nothing but kill, but then, like, he does other things. Like, he drives cars, and he knows how to do that somehow.
Yeah.
Even though he's been in isolation for 40 years. I mean, that's great. He's still jacked as fuck, even though he's been in isolation, chilling for 40 years. Like, I don't know, there's a lot of, like, weird, just like, okay, what? You know? I don't know.
If you get too, like, deconstructionist with it, with like, Michael Myers, with, like, I think just going back to what you said with the movie, just the reality doesn't toe, like, the right line.
Right.
And it makes those things...
When you start thinking about it.
Exactly.
It's like, I shouldn't be thinking about this stuff at all. I shouldn't be thinking about how jacked is he, but the movie presents itself in a way that it's like, it's inviting you to think about that stuff.
Yeah. And inherently, like, just takes you out of the movie a little bit, and that's culminated with the doctor thing, because you're like, wait,
Yeah.
what?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
nothing comes of it besides like a good kill, and you're like,
Okay. A great kill, in fact.
a great kill.
Well, and the funny moment where he dons the mask.
Which I was honestly hoping that the doctor was going to become Michael Myers for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been a twist. That would have been a different direction to be like, whoa, okay, the doctor's lost his shit. He's going to go and finish the murder spree. Like, okay, that's weird. But, like, it also would not have been satisfying.
Right.
No.
At all.
No.
So it's like, it would have been interesting. I like the idea of it. But, like, I think at that point I was just like, I'll take whatever. Because, like, after the whole, like, initial Michael Myers killing, like, a series of people on Halloween night, I think that's really the part of the movie that I love. It kind of just is like...
It kind of falls apart after
The beginning and the end are kind of
Yeah.
like,
Well,
okay.
And here's my whole problem with the story in general. The 3 generations of our leading ladies.
Yeah.
They don't feel like they've ever really hung out with each other. Like, I know that's part of the whole thing with the grandma, but even, like, the mom and, like, the daughter and,
There's
there's no real family tie to make me care about this generational story.
No, it doesn't feel like it has any weight. Like, the main girl or whatever, there's nothing about her that feel like Judy Greer doesn't feel like she's the daughter of Jamie Lee Curtis even a little bit.
No, I thought we were still in the Jurassic World territory where she's just like,
There for a
hey,
minute.
I'm a mom, and then she's just gone.
Yeah, it was a weird. And then, like, towards the end, Judy Greer seemed like she was, like, really traumatized by all the stuff that was happening. But then, like, a switch would snap and she'd be like, surprise, motherfucker, it's a trap. And it's like, so she was in on this the whole time?
Right.
So, like, they had this weird turn for her that all of a sudden it feels like she's on board with this crazy shit that she's been saying for the entire movie she's not on board with.
Oh, my childhood.
And the implication is that she didn't listen to any of that and didn't take it to heart because, like, she leaves her doors unlocked. And it's like, she's like, not living the example her mom wanted her to, because why would she? So it's like, then when she turns and does all the stuff her mom taught her, it's like, wait, what? So, I don't know.
It's a little inconsistent.
Yeah, it's a little bit too much, I would say, too. Like, there's just a little bit too much going on with, like, there's her daughter. There's the,
Speaking of too much going on, we didn't need that whole side story of whatever the granddaughter, the main girl's boyfriend was.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Cheating.
being, like, gender swap Bonnie and Clyde, which was, like, fine, I don't care about any of that, but, like, why did we need
what do kids
her
in
to
2018
cheat
know about
and,
Bonnie
like-
and Clyde?
Right, that's the other thing, too. I mean, there's so many better things they could have been.
The one thing I will say that it set up was young Foggy Nelson from Daredevil.
Right, who feels like a Danny McBride stand-in
Yeah.
at times.
I loved how they, like, set him up to be, like, the compassionate friend that's, like, misunderstood. And, like, he had all these cheesy the girl saw the boyfriend cheating on her, and then, like, the kid was, like, walking her home alone and was like, oh, you're so much cooler than everyone gives you credit for, and
Right.
I would never treat you that way, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, my God, I'm gonna be sick. And then he, like, he's like Louis C.K.'s her, he, like, pushes himself on her, and then, like, she turns it around on him like, I don't want to date you, you fucking creep. He's like, oh, I'm actually drunk, I'm sorry. And I'm like, whoa!
Yeah, it was weird. And
It was I thought that was one of the best moments of the movie of, like, subverting tropes, of
Right.
subverting horror movie tropes in a fun way. I was like, okay, and then just leaving this kid to die in this great way. I thought that whole sequence was really well crafted.
Was that supposed to be the Myers house that they were in front of?
I have no idea.
Because they don't really show it, but it feels like that should have been the Myers house.
Who are the
and,
Myers?
Like the OG.
Like, his house. Yeah.
Oh,
like,
Michael Myers.
Michael
Duh.
Myers.
No, I mean, like, the kid was saying, like, something to the owner of the house, like, he knew him, or who he thought was he was talking to Michael, and he thought it was the owner of the house. I have no idea.
But I don't know. My whole thing is, yes, that was a fun play on tropes and stuff.
Yeah.
But it wasn't necessary. I would have much rather had something that made me care more about the actual story than this, like, moment that didn't really garner any weight. Except
actual
for to be
story-
a fun play on a trope.
Yeah, but that was all the fun stuff in the movie, was the stuff that had nothing to do with the actual story and was just Michael Myers being a slasher.
Right,
So,
well, then make
on
that
that
the
note,
story.
then I want more of that and less of the story. Like, if that's what it's gonna be, then just don't even bother with the story and just make it a vignette of Michael Myers killing people, and let's see what that is.
Right,
You know?
and I'm fine with that, but my problem is they didn't do that. They did try to care about the story, and not enough. And so there's no.
Well, I thought that built character for the girl that make her more of a hero than just like a side character that's gonna be fucked by the fat kid at the end of the night. You know what I mean? Like, they gave her a little bit more a weight than what she could have been. Like I said, by taking that trope and turning it on its head, like, okay, she's not just the damsel in distress. She's kind of doing her own thing.
Right.
I started to like that character more at that point. Like, that was like the only characterization for her we really had in the movie.
Well, then why don't we spend more time with her afterwards? You know what I mean?
Well, that's a great question for the directors and the writers. I'm just saying that I thought that was a good character moment for her.
I get it. It is a good character moment.
And like,
it just
that
feels
was
like a waste of time without more character moments.
The only character moment for a character in the movie I wouldn't call a waste of time. If it's both effective as a slasher movie, effective for character building, and it made me laugh, I would say that's a scene you want in a movie, and it had purpose. Whereas I thought that the stuff with the podcasters had no purpose.
No.
The stuff with...
Get rid of that.
There's all this other stuff that had no purpose. Judy Greer had no purpose. You could have just had... Just be the granddaughter's story, who had a weird family history and was doing her own thing and was going out on Halloween even though her mom said it was a bad idea.
And then Laurie Strode shows up at the end.
Exactly. But I think this focus on the grandmother, mother, granddaughter relationship, that was more the problem for me. It was like all three of these characters trying to like gel together.
It's just too muddled. There's way too much going on.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, like, you know, if you're going back to Halloween, it's about the kids. It's not about the adults. And so I think that was the element with the granddaughter they were trying to do. And with, like, most of the characters you're following are kind of kids, but then, you're, like we said in the beginning, you're never really following anyone.
Right.
Like, for too long.
Yeah, because it has, like, those babysitter elements of, like, OG Halloween a little bit with the granddaughter's friends.
The blonde girl,
Yeah, you sort of, like... dip your toe into a lot of these familiar little territories, but you never get a chance to like wallow in one for too long, and that's like probably the fatal flaw, because like the whole middle is like the movie that I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And then everything outside of that was like I had a lot of problems with.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we're ready for final thoughts. So Ben, final thoughts on Halloween.
Halloween was at times like a really neat, like, homage to, but also like a new direction. It was cool to see like a talented filmmaker like David Gordon Green be able to do something with this cool source material and execute it really well. And there's a lot of neat stuff there, but a lot of the actual story stuff was like super muddled. And I wish they would have committed to just a lean, mean, really technically polished update on a slasher movie, like way more in the spirit of the original Halloween, where like things are just happening and it's like an hour and a half and then it's done. Where this tried to be way more like story and, you know, it's all going to come together, but it was all like kind of half baked and not really executed that well, and didn't really live up to what actual just serial killer stuff lived up to, or like the tone that set. But all that stuff was really neat, and I had a lot of fun when it was just a slasher movie. So I would give it a solid 6 bloody kitchen knives out of 10.
Nice. TJ, final thoughts for Halloween.
You know, I'm not normally a fan of this kind of genre. That being said, I watched these movies back to back, and they were fun. I enjoyed them. I definitely would say just go see the first Halloween if you haven't seen it, like the original. I would highly suggest just watching that instead if you're only going to see one. But that being said, see this movie too. It's got cool kills, kind of like what you were saying, Ben. There is parts of it that are really fun and enjoyable. The cinematography is great. It's a good movie to watch in theaters. But, you know, it's empty. There's no real emotional core to it for me. And because of that, I felt like we were just drifting. And I wanted to like Laurie, Jamie Lee Curtis's character, so much more because I loved her so much in the first movie that I just kind of felt let down at times. But, you know what? It is what it is. I give it 6 pointless podcasters out of 10.
All right. And, I really wanted to enjoy this movie. It's been getting good word of mouth. I like the people involved, and I love the original film. John Carpenter is one of my favorite directors, but this movie just started off on this weird, odd note that didn't quite gel with me, and it just kept getting odder and odder. And I, like you said, Ben, I really love the middle of this movie when it is kind of an homage to the original movie. It's Halloween night. You're getting Michael Myers killing people, but I found that a lot of the performances were overdone, and it was kind of inconsistent with its own mythology in a way that was just kind of bothersome to me. I love the way it looks. I think the cinematography and the way that they shoot Michael Myers is excellent. I would love to see more of that, and I think there was a lot of potential for something. I think I see what they were going for, and I just don't think they quite hit their mark, which is a big disappointment. But that being said, I think this movie, I agree with you, TJ, this movie is really well made. And the kills are really fun, so if you're going to look for a horror movie with great kills, this has it. And overall, it's one of the better made slasher movies that you can see. Like, there's not a lot of actual well-made slashers. There's well-made horror movies like It, and you've got Get Out, and you've got movies that are slasher or horror movies, but this feels like one of the first slasher movies that's like an actual film. So I'd say on that level, it's definitely worth seeing. It's definitely better than a lot of the sequels to Halloween, and I will give it 6.5. Oof. 6.5 William Shatner masks out of 10. I still want to know how those pointless podcasters got access to that mask.
Yeah, also, like, why couldn't we have... Does it feel like they
really
wouldn't have, like, made you so mad if one of them survived and, like, was throughout the story more, so...
No, they both needed to die.
Oh, yeah.
I just, like, they were so
pointed out.
pointless. Like, they need to like, I just felt like they were so pointless to start the movie.
They
with
just
these
helped
people.
give Michael Myers his costume. Like, he has to have the jumpsuit.
They're very upsetting.
I gotta say, I love that sequence though when they're at the gas station. Which, first of all, how the fuck did he find them at the gas station?
Right.
That raises a million questions. Like, does he have like pointless podcast or GPS? Is he like?
He's just following their podcast.
Yeah.
Just listening to live updates.
But like, there's some great like in the background Michael Myers Merkin
yeah, sleeping and stuff.
Yeah.
All that stuff's great.
Yeah, anytime the movie is focusing on just Michael Myers being a slasher, it's fucking great.
Top notch.
So,
Top-notch.
take that as you will.
Yeah.
And what are we doing next week? What comes out?
Well, we could do Daredevil season 2 or
Season 3. But what movies are coming out?
I honestly don't know.
We don't know. Okay.
I don't know. I think it's kind of a dead week.
Interesting. So,
Yeah.
hey, mystery bag. We'll see what's coming up for next week. No surprises or no spoilers here because we don't know. But we'll figure out something and we'll review it. It might be Daredevil. It might be
Mary Poppins.
Werewolf Fuck Party. I don't know. We'll just have to see what happens.
Those were two spectrums, Mary Poppins and Werewolf Party. two hugely different
Yeah,
spectrums.
there's a Venn diagram.
Right.
And there's a lot of crossover between the two. You'd be surprised.
You furries.
But yeah, I think that'll do it for this week. So as always, I'm Scott.
I'm Ben.
I'm TJ.
And this was a review. Thanks for listening.